king of Andhra Pradesh refused. I think let's read a couple of lines where we read yesterday. This is the deity stories we are reading. One of the ancestors of Maharaj Pratap Rudra, the king of Orissa, had heard of this deity who had walked all the way from Vrindavan to Vijayanagar to bear witness for the young Brahmana. These ancestors thought, quote, I have the best deities in my kingdom, Lord Jagannath, but I want to have this Gopal in my kingdom as well, unquote. With a small army, he came to the king of Andhra Pradesh and said, I have only one request. Give me Gopal. So the king of the Andhra Pradesh refused, preferring battle rather than giving him the Gopal deity. But he lost. His opponent said, again, I make the same request of you. I have defeated you. I don't need your kingdom. Just give me Gopal. And the king of Andhra Pradesh replied that I'm sorry. I can give you my kingdom, but I won't be able to give you Gopal because he doesn't belong to me. I belong to him. You should sort it out with Gopal. If he wants to go with you, you are welcome. So the king came to Gopal and said, Gopal, I want you to be in Orissa. Gopal decided to speak from the sky. You want me? I want you to come with me and I will serve you. I will build a temple for you and take care of you. Okay, I'm used to walking. I love it. But you should meet the same requirement. That young Brahmana, when he was walking along every day, begged rice and cooked a hill of it for me. I still remember how delicious it was. So you will have to do the same thing. You should ask for a rice in every village and cook a hill of it for me. I think we have read this, but no problem reading second time. As you say, I am your servant. The king took off his crown, his royal armor, and his weaponry. He clad his body in a simple cloth and went to beg alms. Gopal watched him to make sure that he wasn't cheating. All the way to Orissa, he begged alms until at last they reached Cuttack. When he arrived in Cuttack, his wife, who had a valuable pearl that had been handed down from generations to generations, knew that Gopal was coming. She thought, quote, what shall I give to Gopal? I should give him everything, right? If I belong to him, I should give everything to him, unquote. So she prepared this valuable pearl nose ring to give it to him. She called the Pujari and said, Dear Pujari, please decorate Gopal with this pearl. And the Pujari approached the deity and started looking for a hole in the nose. And there is no hole in Gopal's nose, he said. Definitely we have read, because Gopal is saying, I have Yashoda Mai has done the hole in my nose, and then Pujari found it. So Gopal came to her in a dream that night and said, the Pujari doesn't know anything. Yashoda pierced a hole for me. The Pujari just couldn't find it. Tell him to look carefully. I remember having Yashoda pierce the hole. So how attentive we need to be Haribol. The queen, who woke up happy and ran to the pujari first thing to say, quote, "Look for the hole, it's there." The pujari went and found the hole, although it wasn't there the day before. So he had this valuable pearl put on the Lord, thus responding to the queen's devotion and bhakti. I think that's where we stop actually. Another story is about a village in Rajasthan called Karoli, where the deity of Madan Mohan is now living. This is the deity that Advaita Acharya originally found, and later Sanatan Goswami worshipped him in Vrindavan. Any Shruta remember where Advaita Acharya found this deity? Where in Vrindavan? Anybody? Near Vansipat, Haribol. Even later, when the deity had left Vrindavan in fear of Aurangzeb invasion, he was moved to Jaipur, when he resided for some time, worshipped by the king's daughter. Her father, as is the custom in traditional Indian families, had arranged for his daughter to marry a prince of a small kingdom in Karoli. When he announced this to his daughter, she fainted. She said, quote, "I have already given my heart to Madan Mohan. How can I go somewhere and part with him? For the sake of property, I can get married, but I am not living here." Her father replied, "I'm sorry, but everything has already been arranged." His daughter said, "Then you should give me Madan Mohan because I'm not going without him." The king himself was very attached to Madan Mohan and said, quote, "Okay, you will be taken into the room with the lots of deities. If blindfolded, you guess which one is Madan Mohan, you may take him with you." Haribol. So went to her quarters and started to cry and say, "Madan Mohan, how will I find you?" So Madan Mohan replied, "When you touch me, my skin will be warm and soft, so you will know at once. Also, I'm going to break my flute. I'll put my arm down a little and the flute will break. These are the two signs that are going to help you to find me." How merciful the Madan Mohan is. So the blindfolded princess was quick to find Madan Mohan. In this way, he moved to Karoli. Haribol. In Karoli, each morning the entire village attend Mangala Aarti. Some people even make Danvat all the way from the home to the temple. So they must be starting at 3 o'clock. Depends how far they live. And everyone goes, every single person, even though they are sick, old, or young, everyone attend the Mangala Aarti. May that give us some impetus. They sometime call Madan Mohan the one who stole a tray for a Muslim. So this is story. Once there lived a pious Muslim in Karoli. Every day he read the Quran, praying and meditating on Allah. He wouldn't look at deities because from the point of view of Islam, this is the most serious crime ever to consider that God could manifest himself in some tangible form. To prevent people from committing offenses, all these warnings are incorporated in Christianity, Islam, and Judaism. He was a devout Muslim, respected by all the Muslims, and revered as a saint. Hindus also revered him as a very pious person. Externally, he was an ordinary man who worked in court delivering letters. Once he was sent with some errand to Madan Mohan's temple, where a Goswamiji was in charge. While passing by, he accidentally looked into the window and saw Madan Mohan. He couldn't believe what he had seen. He fell in love with him at first sight. He delivered the letter to the Goswamiji, stopped and started to look through the bars. Then he thought, quote, "What am I doing? I'm a faithful Muslim." He ran to the mosque and started to pray. Quote, "Deliver me from this obsession." But when he closed his eyes, all he saw was Madan Mohan. When he opened his eyes, he only saw Madan Mohan. Haribol. Wherever he went, he saw Madan Mohan. And finally he understood it was hopeless. Madan Mohan means, quote, "the one who attracts and draws." And at his whim, Madan Mohan completely revealed himself to this Muslim. He forgot everything, stopped going to the mosque and reading the Quran, and instead composing songs about Madan Mohan. This is what the love can happen, whoever has the good, true love for the Lord. All of his Muslim brothers thought he is infidel. The most terrible thing that could happen to him was to be excommunicated from his religion. And he was, actually. He then went to the temple, but when they learned he was Muslim, the doorkeepers forced him away, pushing him down the steps and making him fall. Before this, both Hindus and Muslims respected him. So he went back to his home and started to cry, saying, quote, "No one needs me anymore. I have given my heart to God. There is absolutely nothing else in my heart. Some way or other, God revealed himself to me and entered into my heart, but everyone expelled me." So he decided to keep fasting until death. He had been fasting for just 3 days when Madan Mohan couldn't wait any longer. Usually in the evening, the pujaris would place an expensive silver tray of sweets for Madan Mohan in case he would wake up and feel like something sweet to eat. The pujari left, closing the altar door and locking up the temple. Later, the Muslim heard a knock on the door, and he answered it and saw a youth he had never seen before. The youth said, "Goswamiji from the temple has sent me to you with Mahaprasadam. Here it is. Have some, please. But you should bring the tray back tomorrow for Mangala Arti." So the Muslim replied, "But I was kicked out." The youth said, quote, "Tomorrow you are not going to be. Come for Arti early morning tomorrow. Bring the tray and everything will be all right." What was the Muslim supposed to do? He ate everything on the tray as he had been fasting for 3 days. But during the night, Madan Mohan came to the Goswamiji and said, quote, you shouldn't have kicked out the man. I haven't seen him for 3 days. He's coming tomorrow morning, but you should let him in. You will recognize him because he will be carrying a silver tray. So early in the morning, one of the pujaris woke up, went on the altar and saw no trace of the costly tray. He clutched his head in his hand, ran to the Goswamiji and said, quote, the tray has been stolen. It's been stolen. Honestly, I had nothing to do with that. The Goswamiji smiled and said, quote, the one who stole it has already admitted. Don't worry. So the Goswami went to the Maharaj of Karoli and told the whole story. Maharaj couldn't believe that a Muslim could develop such strong love for Krishna. So they were both standing and waiting for him at the temple gate. The Muslim was walking, carrying the tray in his hand, with a strange feeling in his heart, thinking, this is a very strange story. First, I had never seen that person in the temple. Second, he gave me this tray. He may have stolen it and then got scared and give it to me. Or perhaps the Muslim may have set me up. When he approached the temple, he saw the Maharaja himself and the Goswami standing in front of the gate. So he thought, well, I'm dead. He was in no doubt he was going to be put in jail. I think very nice story we should read and complete. But when he approached, Goswami said, quote, I have been waiting long for you. You are so fortunate. Why? Asked the Muslim. And then both the king and the Goswami started to talk all at once. Quote, you are incredibly lucky. He was at loss. What had happened? Nobody told him anything. He started to think, why has everyone changed their attitude to me so dramatically? Only a few days ago, they kicked me out, not wanting to see me, and now they are welcoming with open arms. A suspicion crept in, and he asked, where is the servant that brought me the tray? I have never seen him before. So they told the Muslim, quote, the servant is there waiting for you on the Simhasan. But he is not a servant anymore. Suddenly, it occurred to him what had happened. Everybody rejoiced. All in all, it ended well, except that he couldn't live in the village anymore because all the first people were making over him. There are still songs in that place glorifying this story. The tray that Madan Mohan had taken to the Muslim devotee is still there in the temple. The moral of this story is what Raghunath Das Goswami is speaking about. Quote, even if there is no hope, there is always hope. Unquote. What hope? This hope comes from understanding that Krishna's mercies is more than my hopelessness, and that he himself may do everything possible for us if we show him from the heart. This process is the most practical thing ever. People attend seminar learning how to manage their time. But why manage time? Everything is already managed. One should have the following routine. Get up when the deity does. Go to bed when the deity does. Eat prasadam from the deities, and then the things will appear as this verse describes. All the dustvatva, all the impurity will leave our heart. Prema Amruta, love for Krishna, will enter into our heart, as well as opportunity to serve the Queen of Raj, Srimati Radharani. So tomorrow we'll be dwelling the commentary by Urmila Devidasi. This is wonderful. So we should never think as a deity is a stone or marble or wood or whatever. He is living there. And that's why when we do the deity worship, we have to be extremely careful how we show them. And you see the result when you show them from the heart. Haribo. So I will read one paragraph. Let's then continue our journey from Srila Prabhupada Lilamrita. We are volume 4, chapter 6, this remote corner of the world. While Prabhupada rode to the Jacksonville airport in a car with a few disciples, the other devotees followed in their van, bringing the Vyasasana from the temple for Prabhupada to use at the airport. Srila Prabhupada closed his eyes and rested as he rode, and the devotees in the back seat of his car ate the remnants of his prasadam. So Hridayananda Maharaj is explaining in his own words. It was my idea to bring Prabhupada Vyasasana to the airport. And I was thinking, God, how can my spiritual master sit in the same seat that Karmi sits on? Unquote. It just seems impossible. How could Prabhupada put his lotus body? How could he sit on the same seats as the Karmis? I was very agitated by that. Amarendra had built the Vyasasana, and he used to build everything like a tank. The Vyasasana must have weighted several 100 pounds and took 4 or 5 devotees to carry it. So Prabhupada arrived first, and the Vyasasana wasn't there. By the time he got to his boarding gate, and the Vyasasana still wasn't there. I was in anxiety because I didn't want him to sit in a regular seat. I thought it would be a great offense on my part. Then, as I looked down the long airport corridor, I saw 6 brahmacharis, half of them without their shoes on, lugging Prabhupada's Vyasasana down the corridor. It was such an absurd scene. Prabhupada just stood there looking in disbelief and disgust. And finally, several sweating, groaning brahmacharis came and dropped the Vyasasana down in front of Prabhupada. Prabhupada just looked at it with disdain, walked past it, and sat down in an ordinary seat. While most of the devotees sat at Prabhupada's feet, chanting the Guru Astaka prayers to the spiritual master, Hridayananda was preaching to the people who were standing and watching the spectacle. He had some of Srila Prabhupada's books, and he was trying to distribute them. Prabhupada gave more attention to this preaching than to the devotees seated at his feet. Hare Krishna. Having visited half a dozen cities in a little more than a month's time, Srila Prabhupada was planning next to visit London. Clearly, his field had become the entire world, and his traveling was the practical enactment of his conviction that Krishna consciousness should be given to people everywhere. By Prabhupada's wide traveling and bold preaching, the old idea that the Bhagavad Gita and Krishna were only for the Hindus has become an Anchurianism, a prejudice. Barriers of race, religion, nation, sex, class, all were now down. The Hindu saying that a Swami should not cross the ocean had become a superstition intended perhaps to protect lesser Swamis, but certainly never to restrict the message of the absolute truth from being spread. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's express desire was that in every town and village of the world his name be heard, and no Vedic injunction could prohibit that. Of course, the Vedic literatures advise a devotee to live in a secluded place and avoid worldly men and women, and they advise a devotee not to disturb the mind of innocent persons or preach to the faithless. According to the one Vedic injunctions, a devotee should not even see the face of a non-believer. Such rules and regulations, however, intended mainly for the protection and purification of the neophytes, were superseded by a stalwart Acharya acting on a higher principle of compassion. And in support of their higher principle, Lord Krishna had promised, quote, "My devotees shall never be vanquished," unquote. The surrender preacher, taking up Lord Chaitanya's highest order, would be immunized against contamination. Despite regular contact with worldly persons, even at the risk of his own spiritual life, the preacher approached worldly people, and in return, Krishna protected him. Prabhupada was merciful to everyone, everywhere. Therefore, he was Jagat Guru, the spiritual master for the entire world. To become Jagat Guru didn't mean to claim that one was better than everyone else, or that he was the best guru in the world. Jagat Guru meant that, like Narad Muni, a preacher of Krishna consciousness, went everywhere, preached everywhere, and had disciples everywhere. And Srila Prabhupada did that. Or arriving at one US airport, Srila Prabhupada had mentioned that yogis had formerly traveled in 3 different ways: by flying carpet, by pigeons, and by mantra. Good. Then why have you come today on American Airlines? The reporter has challenged. Just to be one with you, Srila Prabhupada has said, with smiling on his face. But that Prabhupada had come by jet instead of by some extraordinary mystic power was actually no less miraculous. The miracle was that he was always traveling, and that wherever he went, he spoke the message of Krishna consciousness, created faith in the faithless, and transformed the low-growth person of Kali Yuga into pure Vaishnavas. So Srila Prabhupada, in addition to his selfless, compassionate traveling, was also offering volumes of transcendental literature. His disciples in 65 centers around the world were gradually accepting the role of assisting him assuring him that they were able to preach to the people in their areas and that he should feel confident to go on opening new frontiers of Krishna consciousness and presenting more and more transcendental literature. His disciple especially wanted him to have time for translating Srimad Bhagavatam because he has told them that that was his desire. Often he said that if he could simply spend time translating Srimad Bhagavatam, he would stop traveling. He could not stop traveling for very long. However, even if he found enough peace and a suitable place for concentrating on Bhagavatam, duty will call. Again, he would have to travel to see new people, to introduce Sankirtan to a new place, to ensure that his movement was progressing smoothly. I think we are going to finish this chapter. Prabhupada therefore had developed a routine of translating Srimad Bhagavatam anywhere he went, for at least a few hours a day. He had a briefcase with Sanskrit Bhagavatams and commentaries and a suitcase with a dictating machine. Whenever he was, he would rise in the middle of night. Haribol. Maybe it sparks some enthusiasm in our life. Sit at his desk with his dictating machine and Sanskrit and Bengali volumes and take up where he had left off, translating the verse into English and composing his Bhaktivedanta purport. Thus, his busy traveling and his translating were able to go on simultaneously. But we sometimes when we travel, we feel we need some rest. We will never think about waking up at midnight. This is the Acharyas who set an example for others to follow. Oh, we were reading chapter 7. I'm sorry, I was saying chapter 6. My apologies, because I see that we will be embarking on chapter 8 tomorrow in every town and village. That's what our business is, to spread the holy name everywhere as much as we can.